Welcome to One Book, One Review. Hey everybody, as you know, I reread Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Safran Foer. I read it first when it was published in 2005, and even though I thought it was amazing back then as well, I remember feeling emotionally exhausted. It was still too close to 9/11. Now, 7 years later, it didn't mix as much with my own emotions of that time, which made me appreciate the book more. Now don't get me wrong, it'll still affect you and trigger memories, but from a distance, if that makes any sense. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close tells the story of 9-year-old Oscar Schell, whose father died in 9/11. Oscar misses his dad badly, and when he finds a key that is hidden in a vase, he goes on a quest all over New York to find the lock to the key. And that is the main story, but there are many more to the book, like all the stories of all the people Oscar meets in short, and in greater detail, the stories of his grandparents. Oscar's grandmother is one of the most important people in his life, and at some point in the novel, she writes him a letter to explain something, which I won't go into detail because it would spoil you, but in that letter, she tells him the story of her life. Oscar's grandfather has never been part of his life, as he left his wife when she was pregnant with Oscar's father. His story is told through letters he wrote to his son and messages he writes in his daybooks. You see, he doesn't speak, so he carries a blank book with him all the time to communicate with others. Oscar and his grandparents are the main characters of the novel. Their stories are heartbreaking and their individual tics intriguing. Oscar, for example, is compulsive. He has to shake the tambourine all the time, and he constantly invents things that make the world a safer place to calm himself down. He's a smart and curious boy, and I just love how Foer conveys his character to the reader. But I liked his grandfather best. I wanted to know more about him. It is fascinating to see how he tries to live, creating more and more rules to separate himself from his past to have a future. And then there's a fascinating side character, Oscar's great-grandfather, who loved books, but he had an interesting way of treating them. However, the best thing about the novel are neither its characters nor its stories, but the methods Safran Foer uses to support them. Images and photos are included in the novel to show the reader what Oscar sees. His usage of space is incredible. How his grandmother writes very spacious, short sentences with many breaks, and how his grandfather's daybooks are represented. One sentence per page. And when he has more to say than there are pages, his writing gets smaller and smaller until you can't read it anymore. All this adds up to the great experience of reading Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Story and storytelling influence and complement each other. That's what I truly love about Safran Foer's writing. And I'm really glad I picked it up again. And I'm curious to see how disappointed I'll be by the upcoming film. Oh, and one more thing about the title. When you read the book, you'll notice how Oscar experiences a lot of things extremely and incredibly. It's just amazing. Thank you all for watching, and let me know in comments what you thought about the book.